Live. Okay, we are live. We got the countdown. 2, 1. Here we go. Well, Kufar Akbar, everybody, welcome to the Tuesday edition of the Crescent discussion group. This is a blog talk radio program dedicated to rightly dividing the truth between Islam and Christianity. We're here twice a week. We're here on Sunday afternoons at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time for about 2 hours. And we're also here every Tuesday evening, writing this down here, every Tuesday evening at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're doing better for about 2 hours. Last week we didn't do so well because I had to go to a meeting at the church. And the funny thing is that we had a Tuesday meeting, and which kind of threw me all off. And then I'm in charge of the Christian Education Committee for the church, and I scheduled one for Wednesday evening before church, and I forgot all about it. Have you guys ever done that? Had a meeting that you scheduled and then you completely forget, and everybody they're calling you and say, "Hey, yo, where you is?" That was me when
Yes, I've done it.
Yeah, so that's why we cut it short last week. But this week we're going to be here for the full 2 hours, it looks like. And boy, do we have a great topic for tonight. Tonight we're going to be talking about how following the Sunnah of Muhammad, which is, of course, we all know is the pattern of conduct of Muhammad and an example for others to follow, can get you in jail. So we're going to compare some of the things that Muhammad did that may not be obligatory for Muslims to do today, of course, but are certainly permissible. And if they do these things, they will find themselves sitting in a cell, looking from the inside out and singing the blues. So I wanted to do an admin announcement next Tuesday. I see Chloe's in the chat already. Chloe, well, first off, Paul is going to be hosting the show on Sunday. I am journeying to Kafirstan North up in the great state of Minnesota, and I will be out. And so Paul will be hosting the show. And then on Tuesday, I'll be back, and we're going to have our sister Chloe. And if Chloe wants to come in, or anybody in the chat wants to come in, let me go ahead and drop the link in the chat if you guys want to come. We're going to be talking about Roe v. Wade. And what we'll do is we'll go over, what was Roe v. Wade, what grounds did the court decide that case upon, and what it did, what its results were, and also why we're all excited about this recent Supreme Court decision that has overturned that case law here in the last couple of weeks, and it's caused the entire the left to lose their flipping minds, because now they've lost a fundamental constitutional right to kill that which within your body. And the thing is with that is that you first have to tell us where this fundamental constitutional right came from. And the court rightly decided this time that it was made up. This is not something that was derived from the Constitution. The Supreme Court is supposed to interpret the Constitution. As the Chief Justice said, I remember specifically Chief Justice, what's his first name? Roberts. What's his first name? John Roberts?
John Roberts.
John Roberts. John Roberts said, because it's not the job of the court to play pitcher and catcher. It's the job of the court to call balls and strikes. And I completely agree with that. And when John Roberts wrote that decision on Obamacare, homie picked up a mitt and was throwing pitches is what he was doing, because he was inserting judicial language into not the law, but he was inserting language into what the law said, and they're not supposed to do. You're supposed to decide whether or not the law follows the Constitution or not. Period. You're not supposed to say, well, it can say this, so we're going to allow this to mean this if that's what they would. It was just it was so just absolutely ridiculous the way they decided that. Anyway, was that the 17th, Chloe? Because the 17th is a Sunday. Did I say that right? Is that right, Chloe? Tell me. Is that what we decided? I thought we were going to do it next Tuesday, the 12th. We're not doing it the 12th. You're saying we're doing it the 17th. And that's fine if that's true. 17th. Okay, got it. All right. So I have been corrected again. So it is the 17th, the Sunday, the 17th. Miss Chloe will be here. And then what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to line up for that Tuesday. I've been in contact. I was in one of those clubhouse rooms today with our friend God Logic, and it looks like that we might be able to get him on the show that Tuesday. So
yeah, he's live right now.
He's live right now. Well, he goes live.
Yes, he is.
Danny Davis dropped a dime on him today. He says he's off on Tuesday, so Tuesdays is the day off. He said that he'd take time off from his show on Tuesdays to come over here to live stream with us. So we appreciate him doing that. I see Sharon is here, and it says your device is not. Let's see here. Your device is not connected, is what it says. So if you want to come on and join the panel, you're more than welcome to, but you're going to have to reconnect with the device that allows you to communicate either through audio or with a camera. One of the two. Okay, so before we get going, does anybody have anything that they want to lead off with today? Anything hot that we need to talk about? That shooting episode in Chicago yesterday. Rad probably has something to say for that, because he said that that was just around the corner from where he lives. He might not be able to talk right now because he's probably riding one of those trains home.
It's about 20 minutes away. I'm in my Uber right now. But it's about 20 miles away from where I live.
Mm-hmm.
And the dude is off. So he sold the song, I guess. He's a rapper, and he sold some song. And he got paid like a lot of money for it. He's worth $100,000 at 22 years old. Lives in it's a very it's old money. The neighborhood, the town, Highland Park. So it's old money. It's, really wealthy area. His dad owns the grocery store in town. His dad ran for mayor of the town in 2009. The actual mayor of the town was him. Was his Cub Scout leader. Okay. That's just with the dude. It's just total bizarre world. The dude was, I don't know what would ever possess him to do such a thing. But, when you look at pictures of him, he's a tormented soul. I guess his last video was kind of like really bizarre. But, I just cannot fathom this. It's just
where
a horrible tragic thing.
Have they said where he got the gun from?
Sorry,
number one, what type of gun was it? I was reading an article today that said it was a semi-auto similar to an AR-15, and he shot 70 rounds.
It sounds like an AR-15? Yeah. They're not saying what type.
They said it was an AR-15 type rifle, but not an AR-15. He shot over 70 rounds, which means that whatever he was using had to have high capacity magazines with it. It couldn't have been a bolt. You're not going to get that many rounds off with a bolt action. Well, you can, but I mean, it'd take you forever. So
Right.
I'm thinking maybe it was like an AK, SKS. It's hard.
That's what I'm thinking. It didn't sound. See, it didn't sound like an AR-15 to me. It sounded like an AK because the AK makes that distinctive sound. It was really loud. But then again, there's echo. You know what I mean? So I don't know. We'll see. But they're gonna make a big deal about that, of course. But he bought it legally. And here's the funny thing: the new Biden anti-gun law, it says that you got to be 21 to buy a long gun. So guess what? You would have bought it legally anyway, even under that crime law. So I mean. It doesn't matter. The dude was nuts, man. I mean,
wait, hold on a second. Did they raise the age in this new law from 18 to 21 to put your firearm?
Yeah. Well, to purchase a long gun, I don't know if that includes shotguns. That would be bizarre if it included shotguns. But yeah, so it's long guns. You got to be 21 years of age now. Like that matters now. But
wow, that sounds like to me a court challenge. I mean, just consider this, just not the show, but consider this. Okay, here you have young men, 18 years old, can make the decision to go into the military, and they're issued M4s or M16s.
Right.
And they're able to fire M60s. These guys are able to use rocket launchers. These guys are able to drive tanks, for crying out loud.
Mm-hmm.
You're not old enough. And this was always the argument when I was in, of course, is that, well, I'm old enough to do all these things, but I'm not old enough to buy a beer now.
Right.
Are you kidding me? I mean, that to me was just absolutely ridiculous. You're going to trust these kids to do all these things, but you're not even allow them to buy themselves a beer. And then you're going to punish them. And they did. If they get caught drinking. Now, there's a lot of things that go along with it. It was very rare that they would punish them because they would have to do something really stupid. It wasn't just like.
Well, they can drink on base, though, couldn't it? You guys can drink
overseas. Overseas, you can.
Overseas.
CONUS, no.
But I thought you couldn't. I thought you could drink on the post. No. Huh.
No. 21. It had to buy by whatever the state law was, and it was just absolutely ridiculous. It really was.
I agree. I think it's ridiculous. A lot of religious laws. I mean, not religious laws. The legalistic laws. They just make up stuff and say, "Well, this is something real. This is something not real."
All right. Thanks a lot, brother. Have a good one.
One thing I've noticed is when they change the laws, people still shooting each other.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, don't get.
Sorry, Red. I just muted you. Sorry.
So it doesn't matter. I mean, the kid bought the gun legally. Even if he would have bought it illegally, he still would have got it. Let me put this in contrast, dude. I mean, as tragic as this was, I mean, I can't fathom this. You're there with your family at 10:30 in the morning, watching the 4th of July parade. Remember, this is the first time we were going to have fireworks in 2 years. Okay, for most parts of Illinois, this is because it was all canceled for 2 years because of COVID. So this was the first freaking time that we were going to have a 4th of July celebration. Everybody's looking forward to it. All the city, all the neighborhoods, they're all having it, right? And then all of a sudden this happens at 10:30 in the morning, right? And they canceled everywhere. They didn't cancel in my neighborhood because, like I said, I'm 20 miles west. And they did catch a dude, at 5 o'clock in the evening or whatever. But they canceled all the fireworks. And they put the whole North Shore on lockdown, okay? All right? Now, think about this, though. Yeah, 6 people tragically lost their lives, a couple of children. But do you know what happened in Chicago that weekend? 60 people shot. 10, I think it was, I don't know, it was more than 10 that were murdered, that died. In that same weekend. You know what I mean? And they don't talk about that. And that happens every single weekend in Chicago.
But but those aren't the excuses for gun control, though. This is an excuse for gun control. So they don't care about those lives. That's what just chaps my behind, is that all those black kids getting killed every single day there, or every single week, and they don't say anything about that. But you get somebody that goes on a mass shooting. Well, then that's one where they can go in and they can start saying, okay, well, we can start limiting people's rights here. So we're taking away or have gun confiscation laws passed, and it just the hypocrisy just I can't tolerate it. I can't stand it when they do that.
See, here's the thing: you're not going to stop that nutcase from doing this. Can you hear me? Am I breaking up?
No, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Yeah, because I'm in the station now. But you're not going to stop that lone wolf, that nutcase from doing what he did, right? But you can stop all the shit that's going on in the city. Normally, on every weekend, if you just take the people who have the illegal guns off the street instead of just confiscating their illegal guns and letting them go free. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what
That
if you look at
you?
if you look no, and I was just going to comment. One of my undergrad degrees.
I'm breaking up.
Okay, well, one of my undergrad degrees was in criminal justice, and one of the biggest theories that was being put in. I mean, this is back in the 90s. Okay, I'm dating myself, but was the broken windows. If you take those people who commit those petty crimes off of the streets, all of those big crimes will not happen. Rudy Giuliani used that philosophy when he cleaned up New York City. All those people that would jump the turnstiles, well, that's just a petty crime, of course. But you start punishing those people for jumping the turnstiles at subway stations. You start punishing people for throwing rocks and breaking out windows who commit acts of vandalism. And you're going to take 90% of the people who commit crimes off of the streets to begin with. And those other people that see that these people that are being punished for committing these small crimes are being inconvenienced by spending a day or two in jail for jumping a turnstile or having heavy fines placed on or whatever, that deters crime. And by not doing anything like these DAs are doing, by not refusing to charge people, because we can't get it take too long in the court system, and providing every excuse under the sun not to do their job, it's encouraging rampant criminal behavior. And that rampant criminal behavior starts at the small level. You don't start off as a mass murderer. Well, this guy might have, but normally 99 times out of 100, you don't start off as a mass murderer. You start off by committing smaller crimes, and those smaller crimes eventually become bigger and bigger and bigger crimes. The next thing you know, you're off in entire families. So by doing that, you would stop the majority of the major crimes occurring, but they're not doing that in Chicago. And Beetlejuice is one of the key players in that to blame. Okay. Anybody else have anything that they want to add to that tragedy in Chicago yesterday?
Well, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, just real quick on that. So what they do, you'll read in the paper, Chicago PD took 90 illegal guns off the street. So that would mean that 90 felons are also off the street. No, they literally either they find the guns, because they ditch the guns, or if they do catch them on the person, they don't get charged with the illegal guns because nobody wants to charge them and take them to court. Or if they do charge them, they release them out on bail the next day, either on no bail or very low bail. Okay? All right? Because, they only caught them with an illegal gun. They weren't firing it. Even if they fired, they had a couple months ago 100 people waiting trial for attempted murder or murder out on ankle monitor. Yeah. So that's the situation here in Chicago.
Yeah. Well, that's what.
But
exactly what cultural decay looks like. Is Chicago.
But so that problem can be solved. But the lone nutcase doing what he did, as bad as it is, okay, in Highland Park, you're not going to be able to stop that unless you can put these idiots in the mental institution for more than 3 days.
Right.
Okay. Not only that, but so they go to the mental institution. They put them on these drugs. They say, okay, you're fine now. Go home. They're come and check in with us in 30 days. Well, they never check in 30 days. Obviously, they go off their meds, right? So they need to put that in. Okay, you're out for 30 days, but you better check in for follow up. Every 2 weeks, just like parole. Okay.
I'm just saying you are 100% right. I worked for the New York State for a while, and everyone who was assigned as a patient of the state institution, got a pass, whether it was for a day, an hour, a week, a month, and and those who violated that pass were not called back or sent out. They didn't send out people to find them that I knew of. One of them actually shot a cop in my neighbor, back when I was working for the state, and no one told the cops. They didn't tell them this guy.
Nope.
Yeah. So this is the kind of thing that they didn't tell the newspapers that. I knew about it because I was working for the government at that point. Well done, Brad. Well done.
All right. Well, I'll let you guys continue on with what you want to talk about, but it's just a tragedy. I'm waiting for it to happen on the metro train on the way home. I'm gonna end up shooting myself because I don't know how to properly draw a weapon, but at least I'll give it a fighting chance, dude. When I fight with my clothing to get my gun out, But,
well, you hit the nail on the head. What stops a bad person with a gun, is a good person with a gun. And when you take away that ability, from the majority of the population, and you impose upon them these draconian gun laws in places like Chicago, this is exactly what happens. Okay, let's go ahead. I'm going to put you on mute, Rad. Thank you, Rad, because we had some people in the private chat saying somebody's got a hot mic, and I threw you under the bus just to let you know. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at today's topic. Today's topic is, of course, the Sunnah of Muhammad, and how following the Sunnah of Muhammad just might land you in jail where these other people should be. But if you'd follow the Sunnah of Muhammad, I would say that you should be in jail, because some of these things that he did that are supposed to be the examples for other people to follow, well, they're illegal in our country, for Pete's sake. So let's take a look at what the Sunnah is. Of course, the Sunnah is the example that was set by Muhammad for people to follow. And we get this from the Quran. We get it from the Hadith, which is the sayings of Muhammad, the actions of Muhammad. And we get it from the Sirah, which is the biography of Muhammad. And what it does is it enables Muslims to act in ways that are contrary to what our law is. So if you get a textbook definition of what the Sunnah is, and this is islammessage.org, says the Sunnah is, according to scholars of Hadith, is everything that has been related to the messenger. May the mercy and blessings of God be upon him, even though he's dead, of his statements, actions, tacit approvals, personality, physical description, or biography. It does not matter whether the information being related refers to something before the beginning of his prophetic mission or after it. So that is what we call the Sunnah of Muhammad. And we know Muhammad is the example because Muhammad said in Quran chapter 33, verse 21, he says, "Indeed, the messenger of Allah, Muhammad, you have a good example to follow for him who in hopes in Allah in the last day and remembers Allah much." And he also said it again in 68:4 and said, "Verily, you are an exalted standard of character." Now, isn't that convenient? When you are reciting passages, words, the direct speech of Allah, and he is praising his messenger, you just happen to be that messenger receiving that praise. Isn't that, don't you guys find that just a little bit too convenient?
Yeah, so Allah flattered him like the Antichrist will do, come in with flattery.
Yes, and you would think that, okay, well, you would get also prophetic statements. Jesus said that there's somebody who's going to come after me, and his name's going to be, well, he's going to have my name. Oh, by the way, Ahmed. Isn't that convenient? So these convenient verses are just a little bit too much, I don't know, for most of us thinking people to take. Let's bounce back over here, shall we? Shall we? Yes, we shall. Olga says also 465. What's that one about? 465. Somebody looked at it.
Oh, yeah, that you can divorce your prepubescent little wives.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, we're getting to that.
Oh, okay. My bad.
I don't know if that deals with Muhammad being the best example, but I
No.
think it's 434. So, but I got all kinds of nifty little verses and hadith here to follow. Okay, so practicing slavery will get you thrown in the jail. In the state of Iowa, it has been outlawed since 1846. And I know many of you are saying, well, Kafir, why did Iowa wait until 1846 to outlaw the practice of slavery? Well, there's a simple reason for that. Iowa wasn't a state until 1846. So when Iowa was established as a state, it outlawed the practice of slavery. So save your snarkiness. Okay,
That
so
doesn't sound like your state was following in the Sunnah.
we did not follow the Sunnah here in Iowa because we threw
Okay.
people in jail for following the Sunnah here in Iowa. Then we're down to a place called Monticello, or what's that joint down there? It's in the southeast, right on the Mississippi River, as a matter of fact. The name escapes me. I'll remember it when it's not important. But we have nice little buildings down there with all kinds of fencing around them. Let's get this back up there. Okay, so slavery. When we look at Muhammad's example that he followed, well, guess what he did? He enslaved people. He owned slaves. He traded slaves. And then he had sex with his slave girls. I don't know why I have slave girls, and taught his followers to do the same. So slavery and rape are against the law. But when we look at Quran 33:50, it says, O Prophet, we had made lawful to thee thy wives whom thou hast paid their dowries, and those slaves whom thy right hand possesses out of the prisoners of whom Allah has assigned thee. So if you capture somebody on the battlefield, the person becomes a prisoner of war. However, if you capture that family's or that soldier's family or civilians on the battlefield, that person becomes your slave. So enslaving people, slavery is legal for Muslims. Go to Quran 4:24, and all married women are forbidden unto you, except save those whom your right hand possesses. So you don't be getting together with them married women. That's adultery. However, if you capture them on the battlefield, well, they're yours. You can do whatever you want. Quran 24:32, and marry those among you who are single and those who are fit among your male slaves and your female slaves. So if you don't want to feel like you're committing adultery, well, then you go ahead and you marry your slave. It just makes absolutely no sense.
I have
Okay. Go ahead.
This. So according to, like, if one were to take a kind of very traditional Orthodox Islamic perspective, this thing would be outlawed then, right? Because there's no such thing as war anymore, because the war that Muslims fought doesn't exist. After World War II, there is no, that would be an innovation, because the war that they fought was like the old war where the people, went up in ranks and they had champions that fought each other. And since that war no longer exists, this thing would no longer exist for Muslims. They could no longer do this practice, right?
Well, you would think, but tell that to the Yazidi girls that were in Iraq.
Right, but I would say that then this would not be an Islamic injunction. This would just be a made-up thing that people do, because you would have to, it would be and you have to fight with swords and bows and arrows. You can't use guns. You can't use bombs. So these people can make it up, but it would no longer, like, whatever we could see as shortcomings. This is something Muslims can't do. Modern warfare would be innovation. It's impossible to do these things. You have to have champions. You have to have the people going in the ranks. You have to have swords and bows and arrows. You can't have guns. You can't have bombs. So it's very funny that I see Muslims saying, oh, there's bid'ah and shirk and innovation. I'm like, well, that's an innovation. You shouldn't even use a cell phone, by the way. We should use camels and no cars. And I just think it's very funny because I think pretty much every Muslim is cherry picking, and probably most people in religions are. But
yes,
you have to cherry pick. There's no, like,
I agree.
There's like a true Islam. I'm like, nah, you're cherry picking. They're like, oh, we can have slave girls. I'm like, no, you can't, because you don't have war. War doesn't exist anymore because you don't have soldiers who rank up in lines with swords and bows and arrows and shields. So that would be my 2 cents.
I don't know if I totally agree, because they've always called us Dar al-Harb. So,
but the problem is the way that they would eat. Let's say you fight people who are non-Muslim. there's no way you can do it anymore because you would have to fight with a sword and a shield.
They're allowed to move to a new land to commit acts of jihad according to the Quran. So they learn our way of warfare and then attack us with it.
But that was not Islamic, though. That wouldn't be Islamic.
Yes,
it's an innovation. That would be innovation. You wouldn't be able to do that. It's also, you're told not to associate with certain people because you don't want to take on their weight. I would say it's impossible to do it through a religious system.
No, I'm sorry. You're making a you're making a brilliant point, a very valid point. To put this in concept, they didn't have a navy for the first 10 or 15 years of jihad because it was haram, because Muhammad didn't have a navy, so there wasn't any sunnah. Well, then after the siege of Crescent or whatever it's called, failed for 3 years because the Romans were constantly being reinforced, okay, from the sea. They finally captured some pirates or something like that, and they put the pirates to work, and the pirates told them how to build them a navy. Well, mysteriously enough, Allah Akbar, they got a new interpretation or a new Islamic scholarship or whatever, and all of a sudden now the navy was halal before it was haram. See, it's reinterpretation. See, you're thinking like a kafir. You're thinking of logic and consistency. Okay, they can't think this way. I'm sorry, they really can't. They just have this all of a sudden out with the old, in with the new. Let me give you another example. I'll give you one example. And this is a brilliant example. Okay, the whole time to pray, right? Sun up to sundown and the fasting and stuff like that. Well, they got a couple of Muslim astronauts that hitched a ride up in the space station, and guess what? All of a sudden, Ramadan comes along, and how are they going to fast? How are they going to pray? Because they're going around the earth at 27,000 miles per hour. The sun, they go through sunrise and sunset like 12 times a day. Okay, so how are they supposed to do this? Well, Allah Akbar, they got a new interpretation. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so I mean, or look, what if you're in the Arctic Circle during Ramadan? Okay, when it comes in the cold winter months, how are you going to do how are you going to pray? Or in the long summer months, I should say, when the midnight sun comes out and the sun you only have like a half an hour of nighttime. Okay, you know what I mean? So they have to come up with these reinterpretations that the great of God Allah did not think of. Do you see what I'm saying?
I totally hear what you're saying. I'm just saying with this particular injunction, I would just say it for most Muslims it would just have to be, it's an archaic thing that cannot be practiced anymore. Like if a Muslim
is archaic, and this is why I'm pointing this out. Isa.
I'm just saying,
this is exactly why I'm pointing this out, is because many of these things that he did are indeed archaic practices, and for us to practice them today and to criticize them today is Islamophobic. We're not supposed to even criticize these because Muhammad did it, but they are archaic practices. Enslaving somebody, I would say that 99% of the people on this planet would say that is an abhorrent thing to do to another human being. Now, 150, 200 years ago, this was a much more, it wasn't universally accepted, but it was much more accepted practice. If you go back 1,000 years, it was even more accepted and expected in almost every culture on the planet. But today, these types of things that this guy did, which is supposed to be Sunnah, are going to get you in jail. We got this guy here.
Is that Adam Bakari?
Adamu.
Yes, me and Ann Gedaliah has known this guy for at least 4 years on Facebook.
Yeah, I've dealt with him before on Facebook. I'll bring him up.
Oh, jeez. CP had him on, and man, he is one of the big snakes out there, man.
Well, let's just here's what he wrote.
Anyway,
I think it has to be answered at the very least.
That's okay. And here's what he wrote. He wrote, there is absolutely no justice for all victims of circumstances in Christianity. According to the Bible and Christianity, Jesus absolutely teach mankind nothing for their own benefits and betterment on earth. Okay, well let's see what he has to say about this. Now, good afternoon, Adamu. welcome to the show. Let me just preface this. We're going to be polite to you as long as you're polite to us, and we're not going to blaspheme Christ here at all. So if you're going to insist that there's no justice, what did this say? Oh, let me just say this again. According to the Bible and Christianity, Jesus absolutely teach mankind nothing for their own benefits and betterment on the earth. Can you go ahead and clarify that statement for us, please? He has the wheel of death going. And you know what? I know how you feel because I had that wheel of death going quite a bit on Sunday. Olga also has posted quite a bit. I didn't know. I posted the link, the StreamYard link for anybody that's in the chat that wants to come up on mic. You're more than welcome to do that.
I'm not sure what he meant by that, but I think what he was trying to say is that possibly what was stated by Jesus, I think he didn't mean nothing, he meant anything, but what Jesus was saying was about the next life as opposed to this life. That's like the argument I could understand from that. That was more focused on the next life as opposed to living.
All right. Well, I'll let him clarify.
We'll see what he said. I'm just saying that might be the argument he's saying, just because he's spinning right now. So,
well, by the way that it was looking there on the way he wrote that, I'm assuming, and based on my interaction with him, English is not his primary language, which I'm not faulting him for. Okay, it looks like he came back. There we go. We can see a little bit there. Adamu, are you there, sir? Oh, who just dropped out? Was that Connie? I don't know if Connie has like the worst internet on the planet. She very well may. Okay. So Adamo, anytime that you're ready to chime in, go ahead and unmute. Feel free, and we'll have a conversation. If not, we're going to get back to the Sunnah and how it might not be in your best interest to practice it. Okay. So when we're looking at slavery, of course, he owned slaves, enslaved people. It said that they took advantage of slave girls here. They're talking about they can rape their female captives because they were not around their wives. Now, we also call that something.
Show me where it says rape, Capper. Show me where it says rape. Show me the word rape. No, okay. Capper, you can't say rape. Show me the word rape.
All right, thank you. And then it says here also Bakari, he had a black slave called Anjasha, and this is so he owned slaves, raped slaves, authorized other people to rape slaves, and enslaved people. But he malummated. From my understanding, he did free a slave or two. I'm not sure how many there were, but that does not mean that you're to free all your slaves. You can. And if we had, I would say this, and let me go ahead and say this because I didn't realize this, but there was a law in the state of Virginia, now this is after it was a colony, the state of Virginia, that stated that you could not free your slaves while you were alive. So here you have Jefferson, here he dropped off. Here you have Jefferson and Washington both were unable to free slaves during their lifetime. Just saying. So if, I would say that law would naturally be better than the one that was in Virginia. And that's probably like a stop clock being right twice a day type scenario.
So you're saying Jefferson and Washington followed the Sunnah or didn't follow the Sunnah?
They did not follow the Sunnah because they followed the law of Virginia at that time. Okay. The law of Virginia stated that you could not free your slave while you were alive. Okay, let's get back to this. So that was, that was Bukhari. Here we have Muslim, where you have a guy, he captures this little girl, and it says that she was one of the prettiest girls in Arabia. And he brought her to Abu Bakr and bestowed the girl upon me as a prize. So we arrived at Medina. I had not yet disrobed her when the messenger of Allah. Okay, now notice this. Notice this part here. Here you have a girl that's captured, and she's beautiful. And the only thing that they're talking about is disrobing this girl and taking advantage of. They're not talking about treating her fairly, talking about having any type of relationship, just disrobing this girl. I had not yet disrobed her when the messenger of Allah met me in the street and said, "Give me that girl." Notice it's not a woman. "Give me that girl." "Oh, Salama," I said, "Messenger of Allah, she has fascinated me, and I have not disrobed her yet, or not yet disrobed her." When on the next day, the messenger of Allah again met me in the street and said, "Oh, Salama, give me that girl. May God bless you, Father." I said, "She is for you." And the messenger of Allah, "By Allah, I have not yet disrobed her." Now, notice the whole thing about this is that this guy captures this beautiful girl. She's with her mom. Okay, hold on. That's part of this. I want to ensure that she's with her mom and was a woman from the Banu Farasa, and she was wearing a leather coat when with her was her daughter, who was one of okay, so here he captures this woman and her daughter. Doesn't mention anything about the woman. The only thing he's talking about is this beautiful little girl this lady has. Now, granted, and I'll give Muhammad credit for this, he didn't rape this girl. At least it doesn't say he didn't rape or have sex with this girl. He traded her back to the people in Mecca for other prisoners, I think it was. But notice what the.
So then what did they do with that little girl once he traded her?
Well, she was from Mecca. So I don't know if they returned her to her extended family or what the deal was on that. But the fact is what they're talking about here. As soon as they capture a girl, as soon as they capture a woman, what's their first inclination? The first thing that they want to do to her?
Penis her eyes.
Yeah. Rip the clothes off of her back. This is so. It's just disturbing some days, talking about this stuff. It really is.
And what makes it bad is they legislate this. This is in their Sharia.
Oh, yeah.
To them, this is exactly what God wants to be done. Women get raped in wartime.
By the way, there, Miss Connie, I listened to Dijon. What's that? Lloyd Dijon.
Yes.
Lloyd and
wow, he's awesome, man.
Him and Jay Smith today. I'm going to see if I can get this guy on because, hey, can you do me a favor, Ed, and repost, if you have that, repost that guy's link in the private chat so people can start picking up some of these. I mean, he has a whole library of documents there.
Yep.
And Paul, if you could.
I downloaded them all. It's about 3.1 gig.
3 gigs, okay. Yeah, Paul, if you can, let Kufar Phobia know that, because he's also a guy that likes to collect documents and such, and he'd probably have a lot of fun with that. Okie dokie. Where are we at now? Muhammad had people killed for criticizing him. So, is having people killed against the law? Well, according to the state of Iowa Code 707.11, a person commits the offense of attempted to commit murder when the intent to cause the death of another person and not under the circumstances would justify the person's actions. The person does any act by which the person expects to set in motion a force or chain of events which will cause the result of the death of the other person. And it's also in Title 16, a person commits murder in the first degree when the person commits murder under any of the following circumstances. And they give a long list. The person kills another person while participating in an act of terrorism, is why I put that F in there. But if you go in and you kill somebody, you murder somebody, you go to jail in the state of Iowa. And I would say that you go to jail in just about any other state in the United States. And I would say that you would go to jail in just about any other country on the planet for committing murder. But what did Muhammad do? Well, let's take a look. What did Muhammad do? Well, Muhammad had people killed for criticizing him. Now, notice murder is against the law. This is the third crime. We talked about slavery, and then we talked about what was the other? What did we just get done talking about? And did we talk? Oh, slave. I guess this one, murder, is only the second. Okay, this is only the second one. Okay, we talked about slavery. You can't enslave people because if you can enslave people, you're going to go to jail here. But if you murder somebody, let's see here. You're going to go to jail too. But what did Muhammad do? Well, let's take a look at some of the people he had killed. So this would be, let's see, the attempt to commit murder. Let's see, this would be having people killed would be murder in the second degree. I think that's what that first one was. I can't remember. I should have did a better job of defining that. But this is the first degree is where you do it yourself. Second degree is when you have somebody kill you, somebody else for you. So you had him kill Asma bint Marwan for writing poetry against him. He killed Abu Afkat for opposing Muhammad through poetry. He had Al-Nadir ibn al-Harith killed for mocking the Quran as tales of the ancient. And he also mocked and harassed Muhammad and wrote poems and stories criticizing. So those 3 people that Muhammad had killed for criticizing him. So when we look at the instances like Charlie Hebdo, we all know what happened with Charlie Hebdo. This is where you have a magazine, satirical magazine, drew pictures of Muhammad that criticized him, that displayed him in a negative light. So what these people were doing, these guys that came and shot up that newspaper, they were just following the Sunnah. If you criticized Muhammad, if you criticized their prophet, they kill you. Who is that other teacher in France, Brad, that we always talk about?
Samuel Patty.
Samuel Patty. There you go. Samuel Patty. Trying to make a point in your class about, look, we have freedom of speech here in France, and we can say anything we want to, as long as we're not provoking.
In fact, he was required to teach that topic.
Yeah, and he does, and they take him out in the parking lot and lop his head off. So this is following the Sunnah of Muhammad when you kill people who criticize Muhammad. Now, it just didn't end with these 3 here. Who else do we have here? Let's see here. We have Akbar bin Abu Mayu, or whatever he's captured. And he was killed because he threw dead animal entrails on the prophet when he was praying, evidently. And let's see here. This Kabin ibn al-Ashraf composed verses. Let's see. So this guy composed verses, so I would assume he's a poet also. Insulting the nature about Muslim women. Ooh, don't be talking about Muslim women. You know, the women that you can't even see their faces because they wear a tent. Let's see, Abu Raif ibn Ibi al-Huret, I can't pronounce this. He wrote poetry against Muhammad. The whole Banu Qurayza tribe. And the criteria for wiping you out was that you had to enter puberty. You had to be a male, and you had to have enter puberty. And then if you were then, you're dead.
A war crime today, genocide.
Yes, yeah, exactly. He'd be tried in The Hague too. Who knew? Yeah, but you're absolutely right. What else?
It would be an ongoing war crime because he hasn't stopped yet.
Exactly. That's a good word, calling it war crime, because that's what it is. That's what Islam is.
What else we got here? Fartana. Kill Fartana, a slave girl of Abu, because she sings songs about Muhammad. Oh, boy. Don't make up those bad songs. I got a song for you. Hold on.
Sing some perfect songs about Muhammad.
Oh, I am so mean. Hold on, I'm so mean. Okay, where is this?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
We can't coddle the evil ones.
No, hold on.
Like Muhammad.
Oh, come on. I could have swore I had this song. It dealt with, oh, golly. It's, I am... No. Here it is. Got it right here. Okay, here we go. Listen to this song.
Sally called when she got the word. She said, I suppose you've heard. Our new neighbor is Allie. Well, I rushed to the window and I looked outside. I could hardly believe my eyes as a big removal van rolled up onto next door's drive. Oh, I don't know why he's gonna need that chicken and that goat. I guess he's got his reasons, but I just don't wanna know. For 24 hours I've been living next door to Ali. For 24 hours he's been emptying the van. 50 wives and burgers and machete and Quran. Now I've gotta get used to living next door to Ali. He groomed a big friend, 2 kids in the park. I heard them both shouting, Allahu Akbar. With Ali. Now he walks through his door with his head held high. Then gropes his cousin, who's also his wife. 'Cause for him, polygamy and incest is justified. Oh, I saw him in the evening and I waved and said hello. He said, good evening, couple. I came over on a boat. Now for 24 hours I've been living next door to Ali. Now for several hours he's been fingering me down. It's just another practice that he's brought from Pakistan. Now I've gotta get used to living next door to Ali. Well, Sally called back and asked how I felt. I said, honey, he calls me infidel. But I'm starting to get used to Ali. Now Ali says I think I'll try with Sharia. Maybe not now, but within a few years. When all of my common law rights have disappeared. The next day on the news they are showing his photo. He moved out lots of people in a black vehicle over only 24 hours. I've been living next door to Ali. For 24 hours he must have body planned. Now I'll probably never see him 'cause they put him on remand. Now I've gotta get used to not living next door to Ali. No, I'll never get used to not living next door to Ali.
Now that right there is funny. I'm sorry, but I mean that's it's also it's first cousin and also his wife. I just can't. That just anyway. That type of satire will get you killed, according to the Sunnah. Whether it's singing a song like these 2 ladies, and I could about imagine what those songs said, but it doesn't mention what they said. And oh, by the way, if anybody is second guessing me, the source for these comes right off of Wiki Islam. I just go to Wiki Islam and I don't know, type in people Muhammad had killed, and there's a list of 42 of them. And what they'll do is they'll go in and they'll cite the specific source. Whether it's from the Sirah, whether it's from the Hadith, they'll cite it specifically. And all of these are Sahih. They had one of them in there that was Da'if, but they made sure that they put that in the notes that you knew that was Da'if. And I didn't list it here. Of course, I ain't going to list something that's Da'if on the show because I don't want to sit here and argue with somebody about something stupid like that. Classification about little stories made up about their prophet. Okay, so here you have a guy that was killed he was stabbed. Let's see, he was a poet who disgraced and abused Islam. So here you had somebody that insulted Muhammad in Mecca. Let's see here. You write satirical poems is killed. This person mocking Muhammad through poetry again. Writing insulting poems about Muhammad for mocking Muhammad through poetry. And let's see, this guy wrote certain verses of the Quran and started to mock Muhammad, which made him angry, and they killed him.
Well, why not mock the guy who can't get the story straight?
Right.
Yeah, I know, it's so stupid, I mean. I mean, and plus, where's the historical proof of all of this?
Is this the same guy, this Abdallah ibn Sayyid Abi Sar, the same guy that was like the secretary for Muhammad and wrote down the hadith and then added a couple things to them and then said, well, and Muhammad said, oh, yeah, this even sounds even better. Go ahead and include that. And he's thinking,
that was the Quran. Yeah, that wasn't the hadith.
That's what I meant. I meant the Quran.
Yes, sir.
Is this the same guy?
Let's see. Allah Abdul Sayyid, because he became an apostate, left Islam, and fled Mecca. Yes, that's what it sounds like.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there was a guy that was writing the Quran down, and he said, well, why don't you use,
this saying,
this word? And,
use that. Then he knew.
Yeah. Okay.
This guy's nothing but a flim-flam.
Yeah. Torturing people is illegal. It's against the law. You cannot torture people. However, if you look in the Quran, chapter 5, verse 33, it says, those who wage war against Allah and his messenger and strive to spread corruption in the land. I specifically remember somebody saying that I was spreading corruption in the land. So if I spread corruption in the land, what can you do to me? Well, I should be punished by death. Crucifixion, don't you see? Or cut my hands off and my feet off.
Wait. There's no or there. There's just a whole bunch of commas. I mean, maybe they want you to do all of that.
Well,
yeah, that is a point.
Okay.
Yeah, that is a point.
Okay. Look, if you're going to kill me, if you're going to kill me first, let's say you're going to cut my head off, all right, and then you decide to crucify me and amputate my hands and my feet, I ain't going to care. But the first thing, if you're going to say, okay, I'm going to amputate your hands and your feet, then I'm going to crucify you, which is going to cause you death. Well, then I'm going to be a little upset about that. That's going to hurt.
Kind of hard to crucify after you've amputated somebody, though.
That's true. Okay. And then after you get done crucifying me for spreading corruption in the land, I have a terrible punishment in the hereafter.
Don't forget the banishment. You get banished.
And corruption in the land could be something just as simple as reading the Bible.
That's exactly right.
Reading the Quran.
Exactly right. Or no, reading the Quran. If you guys would go to Mecca today, but just think about this. If you would go to Mecca today and start reading the New Testament on a street corner, do you think you'd last an hour doing that?
You wouldn't last 2 seconds.
Exactly right. You would get, what happens to our friend Steve Mashney out there. Steve was here earlier at the very beginning.
How about reading the Quran correctly translated?
What do you mean by that? I don't.
They'd be going mashallah. Yeah, they'd be going mashallah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's see, who am I missing here?
Oh, this guy Adamu. He's back. He's such a mess.
Is he back? Let's see.
Yeah.
Adam, why aren't you coming on the
jump
show?
Off because that's why I jumped off. Yeah.
Murdered a Christian woman. A Christian guy. Let's see. In a Christian country, a Christian guy raped and murdered a Christian woman. Police authority. Hold on. Police authority.
Christian.
All Christian.
He has no proof of any of this. He's just making a statement.
In the church, confessed his sin to Jesus, repented and sought forgiveness.
It's all a made up situation.
That's right.
A Christian guy raped. Adamu, can you please show me in the Bible where Jesus commanded us to rape?
Jeez.
Come on, buddy. I want the chapter and verse right here,
That's right,
now.
No,
right
Adam,
here, right now.
He's
Is
just
he
going
cutting and
by
pasting
his
this?
way.
Is he just cutting and pasting this? Is this?
I told you
because I'm not seeing it in the. I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, see, all he does is blah 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 blah. See, he can't bring. He can't bring.
Well, let's
anything.
just if he's going to if you're going to cite this, that's fine. Go ahead, but I mean, provide a citation. Provide us a hyperlink where we can go in and we can read where this actually happened, and we could discuss it. But unless you're going to provide us a citation, where you could just make this stuff up.
Maybe that's what he's good at. Good at making things up.
We know his prophet did it for sure, so that's not a problem.
I've dealt with this guy. I've dealt with this guy enough on Facebook to know that when you ask him to do that, he vanishes from the conversation.
He's a He's a good
Says mean.
purveyor of Kitman and Takia and whatever else. You know, what are those other four words?
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
we
or he
appreciate
says
guys.
meaning.
These guys really
He
think that
he
we're
finally
falling
he
for the
finally
crap
dwindled
anymore.
down to
Guys,
hello. Okay.
welcome to the 21st century.
I can hear you,
of the
Connie.
internet.
Hold on.
We're all
Yeah.
we're all over this now, guys. Just
Okay,
just
Connie,
learn that.
what were we going to say, Connie? I didn't.
Yeah, me and Ann Ryan, Gedaliah, we so busted this guy, he ended up giving us only one reply word after a while. Meaning, you know, we crushed him with Hadith, Quran, and the Reliance of the Traveler. We crushed that guy. Two mighty women of God crushed him to where he ended up only saying, finally, meaning,
Yeah,
we
so
left.
he's
We
the
shut his
repeater.
mouth, man. Even
Yeah.
Darcy too. I should add Darcy to it too.
He's a
Jeez.
repeater, not a reader.
Yeah, not a
Hey, where
reader.
did that come from? I think I've heard those words before.
Yeah,
Well,
some idiot imam. Yeah,
You want me to tell you what
the idiot in the corner.
want me to tell you what CP had to say about him?
About who?
Here's what-
Adamu or who?
Yeah. Here's what CP had to say about him.
Today we have a Muslim Abdul here. He is he have a very high education, graduated from University of Pakistan with degree with camel urine and how to shave your anus.
The dregs. He's like with
Okay.
the imam there.
Okay,
Full stop.
Adam, go ahead and post in the chat. Okay, go ahead and post into chat your citations for these events, and you might have some credibility, and we'll discuss them. But you can sit here and post this. You can post that. You can post this. You can post that, and nobody cares because you don't have anything to back it up. I believe it sounds to me, based on my past interactions and experiences with you, that you're just making this stuff up. You're just grabbing it off of some Islamic website, and there's no credibility to it whatsoever. But even if there was, let's just pretend. What does CP say? I'll go with you this far. I'll go with you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, let's
I'll
go with
you.
them.
Okay, let's just go with you. How does that affect my faith at all? What injunctions do we have by Christ to go out and steal from the church, rape women, or kill other Christians, and then ask for them to be let off the hook? Where do we find this at all? And the answer is nowhere. But however, when we're doing a show tonight and we see the same type of behavior by you and your ilk, where do you get the admonitions or the charges or the authorization to do these types of things? Well, you get them from your prophet. You get them from your own trusted sources. So there's a big difference here. Even if, and I'm going to go with you this far, even if they're true, there is no justification for those things in the Christian faith. None whatsoever.
Well said.
Thank you. I get paid to do this by them Jews. You know what? They forgot to leave my bucket of money yesterday. But it was a federal holiday, so because it was always the first Monday of the month. And it was a federal holiday. I thought,
you did serve, so yes, we should be thanking you for that hard work.
yes, it's all the Jewish money. I've actually been told that before because I used to put my Israeli flag back there. He's paid by the Jews. I bet they give him a bucket of they give him a bucket of money every month. Like,
hey, I'll take it. I don't know where it's coming from.
Jews,
they're projecting. They're literally so focused on money. Money is their god. Even above Allah and Muhammad. So they're just projecting. Iran feeds them money, right? Because that's in the Reliance of the Traveler. It's in the Sharia law. If you can't go and fight, then at least fund them. Send them money. Support them. Yeah.
It's money jihad.
Yeah, intercourse, rocking around that, or rolling around the rock, and money.
There you go, girlfriend.
Rock and roll, going around the rock.
Well said.
Rock and roll. Circumambulating the Kaaba is rock and roll. I like that.
Yeah, rock and roll idolatry. How about that? Rock and roll idolatry. Yeah.
Okay, so Allah says that you can torture people by crucifying them for spreading corruption, whatever that means. Who else says that you can do that? Well, besides Allah, Gabriel, Muhammad, whoever. Here you have Muhammad. Let's see. He ordered nails which were heated up, and the tribesmen were branded. Excuse me, with those nails, their eyes were branded, meaning that their eyes were scorched out by these heated up nails. And when they asked for water, no water was given to them till they died. So here you have these guys. They're let's see. They're branded with these nails. Their eyes are poked out with these nails, and then they're evidently, I guess, they're tied down to the ground in this land here, and then they're left to die. So this is the Book of Jihad by Bukhari. Way to go. Oops, sorry. Don't want you to put that.
Oh yeah, that's mercy to all mankind, huh?
There you go.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. The example to follow. A great example. That's what Muhammad or Gabriel, one of those guys said about Muhammad.
Yeah, the demon to a devil.
And here you have in the Sirah, the biography of Muhammad, where you can torture this guy. This guy, they were trying to find some money from this Jewish tribe. I can't remember which was the Banu Kanuka. I can't remember which tribe it was, but they're trying to find this tribe, or the money that this tribe had. Well, this guy knew where it was. Who was this guy? It doesn't give his name. But they ended up torturing him by building a fire on his chest to get him to admit where the money was.
And that's just
Hear that, Kenny? Do you hear that, Kenny Bomer?
The best, and that was the best that they had to offer as far as evidence. You know, that's their way of dealing with things they don't. They wanted his money, they wanted the tribe's money, and they tortured this man, and he eventually died from it, and they were okay with that.
It's Sunnah. That's Sunnah.
I see.
And it's Sharia.
That
It's
would be called
Sharia.
a war crime today.
Yeah, it's a war crime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Ed, do you have a clip on that song? Money, 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 money. You need to find it for me, buddy. Yeah,
I'll
find
go
it for
look
me.
for it, yeah.
Okay, let me get to this next one before Ed hits us with that. Okay, Muhammad said it was okay. Oh, here's a good. Okay, beat your wives. We've been through this in ad nauseum here. This is Iowa Criminal Code says you can't do this. All right, it says let's see, physical contact that is insulting or cause injury is can be carried out in a threat. You can use a weapon. And then it talks about a domestic relationship, and the domestic relationship would be you were married, divorced, or separated. So this would be considered domestic violence. In the state of Iowa, what does Muhammad say, or what does the Reliance of the Traveler? What does the Sharia say, the Islamic law, God's law for mankind? Well, here in Iowa, it says that you can't do it. But in Islamic law, it's Sunnah, don't you see? If you go to the Reliance of the Traveler, section or division M, section 10, number 11, it says when dealing with a rebellious wife, not a wife that has committed adultery on you or has, burned your supper or whatever, doesn't like you or whatever. This is a rebellious wife, or notices when my husband notices signs of rebelliousness in his wife, you have to do three things. You have to admonish her. Let's see. You have to go to the bed. You have to say that you can't have. Let's say ask her, or let's see. Okay, here it is. If she commits rebelliousness, he keeps from sleeping with her, and then he may hit her. So, and plus you tell her you're obeying me is religiously obligatory. You are obligated to obey me because I am your husband. You must obey me according to Islam. So if you don't obey me, then I can remind you that you need to, or I can banish you from the bed, or I can just go ahead and beat you. Don't do it in the state of Iowa. Also, in chapter 4, verse 34, Allah said, or one of these three guys said, men are maintainers of women, and that you can. And where do they get this for reliance of the traveler? Where do they get this? Where you can hit them? Well, it comes right here in 434, where it says that you can beat them. So the bottom line is that following this Sunnah of Muhammad will get you in jail. And do we have any examples of this? What Muhammad said about it? Well, yeah, we go to Sahih Bukhari, and this woman is brought to him, and she's been beaten by her husband severely to where her skin has turned green from the beatings that she's received from her husband. And the only thing Muhammad's worried about was, well, why did he hit you? I mean, it isn't, oh, he hit you. Well, why did he hit you? Well, she said that he was impotent, is basically what the charge was. And Muhammad's like, well, he's not impotent. Look at these children. These children look like him. All the while ignoring the fact. Go ahead.
Apparently, this guy, this Muhammad, doesn't know anything about science, that a person can become impotent later in life.
Maybe. I mean, he definitely wasn't, was he? Because he went to all 11 of his wives in one night without taking a bath.
Yeah,
well, you
but
got to remember
Muhammad,
that Aisha also said he had a lot of illusions about that.
right? But Muhammad never asked why. I would like to read that in this Sunnah. He never asked why.
Go ahead.
He never asked why. Which is disgraceful.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
right here.
and then he just says, "Oh, well, you got to go and screw him."
Yeah.
Okay. She just got beat, and Muhammad's verdict is, "Well, you got to go back and screw him." What is this? That is nothing but a pedophile. Just a pervert.
It's disgusting behavior.
Yeah, disgusting behavior. That's even better.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And look what he said. Look what Muhammad says here. He says, narrated Umar ibn al-Khattab, the prophet, peace be unto him, said, a man will not be asked as to why he beat his wife. So you can go ahead and beat her, and nobody's ever going to think twice about it. Nobody's going to say anything to you.
Okay, see what they said? Can you go back? See, they said, you're not even supposed to ask a man why he beat his wife. Why? Because Muhammad never asked that.
Yeah, Muhammad just says,
there you go.
Well,
don't ask why. Right.
That's because he doesn't need a reason.
That's right. That's exactly right, Darcy.
You fear rebellion, you can beat her.
Fear.
Let's see. Women are becoming emboldened towards their husband, so prophet gave them. Okay, Muhammad. Now, hold on. Let's look at this one. Bin Abdullah bin Abdul Duwab reported the apostle of Allah as saying, "Do not beat Allah's handmaidens." But when Umar came to the apostle of Allah and said, "Women have become emboldened towards their husbands," he, the prophet, gave permission to beat them.
And there you go. Do you hear that, Kenny? You hear that, Kenny Bomer?
Yeah, as long as you don't leave a mark. You can't hit him in the face. You can hit him in the forehead, but not the face. That thing. Okay, now
stupidity.
Adultery. Now, when we look at adultery, and as that being Sunnah, and I'm going to show you how it is Sunnah to commit adultery. I know it's illegal. It says that in the Reliance of Travels, to commit adultery is illegal. But let's look and see what adultery is before we get to the Alliance of the Traveler. Let's go ahead and see what a real authoritative book has to say about what adultery is and is not. Oh, Exodus chapter 20:14. Thou shalt not commit adultery. You go to the 10th commandment, you shall not covet your neighbor's house, you shall not covet your neighbor's wife or his maidservant, manservant, and then you shall not covet your neighbor's wife, you shall... And this is in a second reading of the 10 Commandments in Deuteronomy. But the most authoritative figure on the planet defined adultery as thus. You have heard it said, do not commit adultery. But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has committed adultery with her in his heart. Jesus Christ, been God. So Jesus Christ says that if you look at a woman with lust, you're committing adultery. So let's look and see what the Quran says. The Quran says, but, O prophet, we have made lawful unto thee thy wives unto thou hast paid their dowries, and to those whom thy right hand possesseth. That would be your sex slaves, spoils of war. Those whom Allah hath given you as spoils of war. God has given women to Muhammad as sex slaves. Some God, huh? So that makes God, Allah, a pimp, is what he essentially does. He's reducing the God of the universe to being nothing more as a pimp for him. This is so disgusting. This really is.
Because didn't in the Quran, didn't it didn't it confirm the Torah and the gospel?
Yeah.
In several places?
Yeah, that's what it says. It says that we come to confirm that which you have in your hands.
Yeah, which is flattery, and then it goes totally against it. Wow.
Yep.
Doesn't that sound like the Antichrist? He's going to flatter the Jews, and then he's going to end up setting himself on to destroy, to destruction.
It certainly sounds demonic in nature. Anything that would counter what sacred scripture says is demonic. Let's see here. A privilege for thee only, not for the rest of the believers. We are aware. Let's see. So they're concerning their wives and those whom their right hand possesses. Okay, so you can commit adultery according to the God of the universe, as long as you own or you have sex slaves. You collected somebody, and I've given you as God as a result of the spoil of war. This is not God's word. These are not the same God. When you look at, you have heard that it was said, do not commit adultery. But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has committed adultery within his heart. And then you look at this crap, and you're going to say that's the same God? I don't think so. That is a lie from the pit of hell. Let's see here. What else?
Know so. We know so.
Let's see. Why don't I have this? Oh, I didn't do that. Oh my gosh. I know what I need to do. Hold on a second. Sorry, folks. Amateur hour has just arrived. Let me go back here and redo this. I did not. Transitions, animations, fly-in. There we go. Transitions, animations, fly-in. Okay, so let's go back to this one. My fault. Okay, so that was 3350. Then chapter 33, verses 37 and 38. Here you have him talking about Zayd and Zainab, where he sees his adopted wife's or his adopted son's wife, and he sees her naked, so he starts lusting after her. Now, think, what did Jesus tell us? That even if you lust after a woman in your side, you see a woman and you lust after, you're committing adultery in your heart. So what is Muhammad doing here? He's lusting after his adopted son's wife. And then it goes on to say, look at here. Zayd can divorce her now. Oops, I'm sorry. I don't have this up on the screen. Here's what it says. It says Zayd can now divorce her because he's accomplished his want of her, don't you see? He is finished with her. He's done whatever he needs to do with her, and he can kick her to the curb.
And that's the best he can do.
Yeah, ditch her, huh?
And Muhammad getting sloppy seconds.
Wanted her.
This is
Allah has is Muhammad.
And here's why.
You know, Eric.
What's that?
Yeah, yes, what? Sir. You know, that literally shows me that they had the gospel, and then when they Arabized the Qurans, they wrote in the opposite of what Jesus had said, or what God told Moses to write. That really lets you know that they had the gospel. And then so what they did is just said, okay, Jesus said this. Okay, now you do the opposite. Jesus said that, you do the opposite. Moses said that, you do the opposite.
That's exactly what they're doing. I agree 100%. And listen, look at the justification here. Why Allah, God, the God of the universe, feels it's necessary to tell Muhammad this. Look at right here. This is what is just so disgusting about this. It says, we gave her to you as a wife, so that there should be no difficulty for the believers in respect of the wives of their adopted sons. Who in the Hades has lust problems with the wife of your son or your adopted son?
Perverted Muhammad.
It says something about the lack of intelligence, the lack of caring. He actually doing this destroyed the concept of adoption and
Right.
foster children in all of Islam.
Yeah,
And
you're
this is
absolutely
one of the
right.
reasons why children have to be adopted outside into other faiths, because Islam really doesn't have any respect for foster or adopted children.
Okay,
Or
that's the
human
other
life.
point too. Yeah, that's the other point too. In James, it says, pure religion is that you take care of the widows and the orphans. And what does Muhammad do? Oh, no more adoption. See? So that shows you they had the gospel. They had those epistles. They had it all. And so they just did the opposite. Do the opposite. They call that unsin. And they call us, we're the sinners, we're the corruptors because we don't obey. We don't want to rape people. We don't want to marry little girls and divorce them and rape women in wartime. Thank you.
Woe
Yes.
unto those who call evil good and good evil.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah. Okay, so does this sound like the God of the Bible? I mean, this isn't even close to what the God of the Bible. I mean, anything in the Bible that would ordain something like this. And I know. Just as I say this, some troll is going to get on the YouTube and he's going to write me a note. Well, what about Lot? What about other
What
instances
about Lot?
what about all these instances of incest that go on in the Bible? Don't you see that? Okay, we're not told to follow the Sunnah of Lot, and we're not given biblical admonitions,
He was also
charges, permission to behave in that manner. What's that?
Lot was sexually assaulted, so I mean, people should know that. That's what happens in that story. He was assaulted. So
By his daughters, right? Yeah, they got him drunk. Yeah.
Well, the daughters actually thought.
Go ahead, Connie.
Yeah, the daughters actually thought, well, we're the only ones left on the planet.
Yeah.
Okay. And so they were like, okay, well, we have to get seed to continue the population. So yeah, but anyway, thank you.
Well, you're right. That's the exact. But to justify it in any way, shape, or form, and I understand that's what a lot of people come back and say. Well, they were justifying it because they thought that they were the only people
we
left
don't.
on the planet.
Right.
God had wiped out everybody, but
they assaulted their father, according to that story, and that's right. Actually, it's brought up because it's seen as a very bad thing. The Ammonites, I think, and the Moabites, these groups, these communities were supposed to be the lineage of the people from that interaction. So it's actually seen as a very horrible and bad thing. It's seen as an injustice.
Exactly. Yeah. The Moabites, you read in the Bible, came from Syria. The Syrians. Just right in there. And I told my son that because he's Syrian. He's half Syrian. I told him, you're a Moabite.
Okay.
And didn't they bring people
Mom.
out? Didn't they bring
well,
people
I
out
have to
of
tell them the
there?
truth.
Say that again, Ed. What'd you say? I didn't.
Well, didn't they bring people out of there and bring Lot out of there and his family, and they rained sulfur and brimstone and fire on that place?
And they were and then now they don't have their mom because mom got turned to a pillar of salt. So anyway, I'm just saying that this is the rescuing device for this. But it says in the Bible, and actually, when you go to that website, don't go to that website. Ask a Muslim. And I've actually used to have a segment on my Radio Free Kafir when I had this Tuesday show called Radio Free Kafir. I had a section called "Why Not Ask a Muslim," and I would go to Ask a Muslim website and I would pull up an article and I would go through there and I would critique it. And one of the articles that they had written there was a justification in the Bible saying that the Bible justifies the practice of incest. And you know, just as well as I do, the reason why they do that is they say, okay, well, the Bible, what they're trying to do is they're trying to legitimize what Muhammad did. They know that Muhammad lusted after his adopted son's wife. So therefore, if they do that in the Bible, well, then that makes Muhammad, what he does, perfectly natural, normal. This is why they'll make arguments and say that Rebecca, Isaac's wife, was 3 years old when he married her. Why are they doing that? They're trying to.
Yeah, right.
The motivation behind it. We have to understand the motivation behind it. There's no truth to it whatsoever, but you have to understand the motivation behind it is to legitimize what Muhammad did to little Aisha. Why do they always bring up the marrying age in the colonies when some of these colonies had the marrying age at as young as 7? And they did that for legal purposes, not for some scumbag, some 54-year-old scumbag to call upon on their 9-year-old little daughter. They did that for contract purposes at the time. But just forget that fact. They use these things as a means to try to legitimize the reprobation of what
Muhammad did and instituted.
Trying to get away from what he did by pointing the finger at somebody else.
Right. Yeah.
And they know those contracts united families. That was that. I mean, you look at that in the colonies. That's what you put families together, and it was long-term family planning was another issue with that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we've got 4 crimes: slavery, beating your wife, murder, and what was the last one? Oh, the last one, adultery is not a crime. Okay. But rape is a crime. Rape is a crime, wouldn't you say?
Well, actually, adultery was a crime. Is it still a crime in the military here?
It is. Oh, yeah, you're right. It is in the military. We had a commander when I was stationed at my first duty station. He hooked up with one of his soldiers' wives.
Did you have to arrest him?
No, I didn't get to arrest him. As a matter of fact, what was neat was he was he was a military police. He was a commander of a military police company, and they did arrest him. I don't know who I think they sent the first sergeant out there to get him, and they brought him in, and they as soon as it became public what happened, they brought him in. They took him through the process, did a police report, and rung him through the ringer, and he received.
Dishonorable discharge.
He didn't receive a dishonorable discharge.
Okay.
He lost. Of course, he lost his command. He was automatically relieved of command on the spot after he was convicted. You have to have an Article 6 hearing or Article 31 hearing, and then you have to go through the courts martial. And he opted for a courts martial because I can't remember, but he was relieved of command. And he resigned his commission, is what he did.
So in the U.S. military, following the Sunnah is dangerous.
Yeah, don't do it in the Army. Make you a war criminal. Okay, let's see here. Okay. This next one deals with rape, committed rape and adultery. So let's look at what we got here. What is rape? It's we commit sexual abuse in the second degree, threatening manner, dangerous weapon, uses or threatens to use of force, creating a substantial risk. The other person is a child, of course. So you're committing rape. So what do we have here? We have, what is this? Sahih Muslim talks about his capturing women on the battlefield. Look at right here. They're capturing women on the battlefield. And they capture these women on the battlefield. And look what they do. Well, we desire them. Well, why do we desire them? Well, we've been away from our wives. So if you desire a woman while you're away from your wife, what did Jesus say about that? He says you're committing adultery in your heart. In your heart. You're committing adultery. The second thing is that Muhammad should have said, look, quit lusting after those women and get back to fighting. But no. So we decided to have sexual intercourse with them. And let's see, what was this? This is where they get to...
like when their husbands were still alive as well.
Yeah, where they can
Yes.
have it, right. Withdrawing. Okay, here it is. Withdrawing the male sexual organ before. Okay, this is coitus interruptus or whatever it's called. And they were. Okay, listen. Okay, hold on. This is so. This is sick. Okay, these guys are concerned about having sex with these women and getting them pregnant. It's not about raping them on the battlefield. It's not the fact that their wives are
Married.
they're married. It's not the fact that their husbands are still alive. These guys are just concerned about impregnating these women. So listen to what Muhammad's reply was. His reply isn't, no, don't have sex with them. No, they're married. Their husbands are still alive. You should do it. No, have some discipline. You're away from your wife. Deal with it, but leave these. That wasn't his. No. Muhammad said, look what Muhammad says here. This is a joke. Muhammad says it does not matter if you do that, if you pull out before you have an orgasm. It doesn't matter. For every soul that has been born up to the day of the resurrection will be born. So it doesn't matter. I mean, he isn't telling these guys not to do it. He's saying, go ahead and do what you want. And if they get pregnant, that's just too bad, because every soul is God's. It's God's will. So just go ahead and do it.
And you don't have to worry
Yeah,
about
that is
adoption.
sick.
God, that's evil. That is just evil personified. Is there anything else? Do I have anything else here? It's just making me sick. Oh, speaking of sick, let's go to number 6, crime number 6. I know.
Muhammad committed pedophilia.
Yes. Okay. So let's just. I just get tired of dealing with this here. And what is this considered? Indecent contact with a child is when you are 18 years of age or older.
54 was he?
And it's any of the following acts with a child, not the person's spouse, with or without the child's consent, for the purpose of arousing or satisfying the sexual desires of either of them. So if a person is 54 years old and does any of the following acts with the child for the purpose of sexual gratification, you are committing pedophilia. Fondle or touch these parts of the child. Did Muhammad do that? Yes, he did. Touch the clothing. I don't know if he did that. He probably just ripped it off. Solicit or permit a child to fondle or touch the inner thigh. Okay,
Yeah,
so
he wore Aisha's clothing.
yeah. Solicit a child to engage in any act predicted under this section, and that includes all of the above, which would be penetration. And the position of this.
Something about Muhammad encouraging another man to get a child bride so he could play with her?
Yeah,
Yes, he did encourage someone else. And isn't there a law against that as well?
Yeah, we call that prostitution.
No, he was encouraging someone to engage in an illegal act.
I don't know if that's against the law. I don't know. I'd have to care enough to look it up. But
well, endangering the welfare of a child, I think, is what it would come down to.
That would be child endangerment. Yeah, I guess. Well, I would care about that. I wouldn't really care about whether or not if Muhammad did it or not, because we can see all these other grotesque things that he did. It just makes you want to go do voodoo. Okay, so these slides are from that post-Kenny debate with David Wood, where he said that you weren't there, so how do you know? Well, okay, this says where he stayed there for 2 years, and then Aisha when she was a girl of 6, and he consummated the marriage when she was 9, which makes Muhammad a pedophile or pervert. Here you have Bukhari. Bukhari said that Aisha narrated that the Prophet married her when she was 6 and consummated his marriage when she was 9. So she was there, and she remained with him for 9 years until his death, which makes Muhammad a pedophile and a pervert. This one is again narrated by Aisha. This is Bukhari. I used to play with dolls in the presence of the Prophet, meaning that she was prepubescent when he did this. And that goes on to say the playing with dolls and similar images is forbidden, but it was allowed for Aisha at that time as she was a little girl not reached the age of puberty. And this is from Tata Abadi, whatever that is, which makes Muhammad again a pedophile. I narrated Aisha reported married me when I was 6, and I was admitted to his house when I was 9. That's Sahih Muslim. Again, Sahih Muslim. Aisha narrated that Apostle married me when I was 7, and he was taken to the house when she was 9, had her dolls with her, and died when she was 18, which lines up perfectly with all the hadith. Allah married me when I was 7. He had intercourse with me when I was 9. Sunan Abu Dawood, which makes Muhammad a pedophile. Sunan al-Nasi.
Okay. Yeah. Go back. It says intercourse.
Yep.
That, David and Kenny's next one is going to be over if it was really true intercourse. Well, that hadith right there says intercourse. Yeah. So Kenny can't run
David
away
and Kenny
from this.
Is
You know.
their next one? Their next what?
Yeah, their next debate, which it was supposed to be in June, but then Kenny got sick. Kenny got COVID. So it's been delayed. We don't know when it's going to be, but the next one, what is if he had intercourse with her at that age?
Oh.
Yeah. So, and we have a
that's going to
hadith.
be a really short debate too.
Well, Kenny will bring all his non-Muslim people's books and articles. Instead of going to his own Islamic sources. I mean, is he Islam or not? I mean,
The
you either believe.
Encyclopedia Britannica says.
Right.
Time magazine says. Karen Armstrong.
Yeah, Karen Armstrong. That's his girl.
Yeah, that's his girl.
I think when you're Kenny and you are at least bright enough to know that Islamic sources claim your prophet is a pedophile, and you've already made a public statement that anybody who likes girls, that their shape isn't, they don't have the right shape, is what he kind of came out and said, and that you'd have to be a pervert if you like that. So now he has to go outside of Islamic sources to find something that backs him, and that kind of says something.
To bring a doubt. To bring doubt. I mean, Islam would cut his head off for that. You're not supposed to be trying to bring doubt in the ummah.
Yeah, he would.
It's punishable by death.
He wouldn't survive in Pakistan. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see here. Do we have any more? Yeah, we have more. Gosh, I'm sorry, guys. Put you through this. Let's see. Sunan Abu Dawood. Next one. Okay, this is Al-Nasi. I'm sorry. Again, here Aisha narrating that he consummated the marriage when she was 9, which makes Muhammad a pedophile. Sunan Al-Nasi again says, I was 9 and I lived for him for 9 years, which lines up with him dying when she's 18. So it lines up perfectly. There's no ambiguity like they like to have with the age that she had when he married her. Because a lot of people say, well, she was 18 when he married her. Well, she was with him for 9 years and died when he died when she was 18. So how can you say that? So you have, who's this? Al-Nasi again says that the messenger married her when she was 9 and died when she was 18 years old. So how can that be that she'd be any other age if this other one's true where she lived with him for 9 years? That doesn't make any sense at all. Well,
I've also heard claim that she was 19 instead of 18. So they can't make up their mind.
Frustrating. You're absolutely right. It's frustrating as all get out. Okay, so who's this? Oh, Ibn Majah, Sunan Ibn Majah. Let's see. The Prophet married Aisha when she was 7 and consummated marriage when she was 9 and passed away when she was 18. So that lines up with the standard Islamic narrative, which makes Muhammad a pedophile. Then you have the commentary by Ibn Kathir. Says the marriage married her when she was 6 and consummated at the age of 9. Look at it, says there's no dispute among anyone on this matter.
Yep, that's a good one.
This is Ascalani. Ascalani says, let's see, the playing with dolls and similar images is forbidden. What was allowed for Aisha at the time, as she was a little girl, not yet reached the age of puberty. So even
Hello.
in Ascalani's writings, it's there.
That's a real good one too.
And then Al-Tabari says, my marriage was consummated when I was 9. And then you have the Sirah, the biography of Muhammad, the Sirat Rasulallah, the biography of Muhammad. It says that he married Aisha in Mecca when she was a child of 7 and lived with her in Medina when she was 9 or 10. Now, this is the only source that I've seen that refers to that she could have been 10. But even if she was 10, I'll go along with you. He's 54, which makes Muhammad a pedophile.
Yep.
Perfect. And in the Quran, God, Allah, Gabriel, whoever you want to say, Muhammad, and those who no longer expect menstruation among your women, if you doubt that their period is 3 months, is talking about divorcing your wife, and those who have not yet menstruated, those who have not menstruated, meaning that those who are too young to menstruate, meaning that they're prepubescent, you are providing a means, a provision to divorce that little girl. You sick son of a serpent.
Yep.
Or biscuit.
Biscuit. Yeah, I like serpent, but biscuit works too. Oh my gosh. Okay. Muhammad allowed prostitution. Oh, this is a good one. Okay, so I didn't do the slide thing here. That's okay. So what does Iowa code say about prostitution? It says the person who sells or offers for the sale of person's services as a partner in an act or sex act commits an aggravated misdemeanor. So this isn't a felony. It might not cause you to end up in the well, here in Iowa they would probably do that to you. But if you did this like I don't know, New York or maybe Chicago or in a big city, they're like no big deal. But here it is kind of a big deal. So if you try to do this, you would go to jail. So what did Muhammad have to say about prostitution? Well, we call it muta marriage. It says we are allowed to marry women with a temporary contract, permitted temporary marriages. So you pay the girl your dowry, whatever that was. And I think this was the Verbatis recited. One guy had to give her his coat or something. Young, next she was presented our contracting. My coat. Yeah, look at here. He had to give him his coat. He gave him her coat, and then he had sex with her. Now that's what we call prostitution, and this is ordained by Muhammad. Now I know muta marriage. Some people have said or made the claim that muta marriage was disallowed,
Abrogated by Muhammad in the Sunnah. Yeah.
There we go. Better word. Abrogated. It was abrogated. But you have provisions here where there was a time where he was allowing his followers to do that. And there are still people who do that today. Nadir Ahmed. You guys remember Nadir? We've had him on the show a couple times. You guys remember Nadir Ahmed?
Oh, yes. He's the guy the Muslim that believed in the Trinity. Real nice guy.
No.
No? Oh, okay.
No, you're confusing Nadir with somebody.
Nadir dated
okay.
with Mr. Wood.
What's that?
Nadir. Oh, yuck. He is so gross. He gives me the weebie-jeebies all the time.
Like this.
Yeah. Yuck.
Time magazine says, there's the mustard seed. This was a lie in the New Testament about the mustard seed.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Nadir. Yeah. He gives me the creeps.
Yeah,
and he reads from a lot of encyclopedias instead of going to his own sources.
Yeah,
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 he is
he's a
gross.
special case. He's the one that Slam RN's here. It's good to see you, sister. Good to see you back here. Um, yeah, he was the guy that Michael Brown, Dr. Michael Brown, got into a conversation with him one afternoon on Muhammad in the Bible, Deuteronomy 18:18, and he just completely destroyed Nadir in that. If you ever want
Yeah,
to
that's a good one.
quality
Let me see
entertainment,
if I
yeah,
can find it and I'll tag it here.
yeah, it's just quality entertainment. If you ever got like 30 minutes, you just want to sit back and laugh and just see how pathetic these apologists can be. That's the video to watch. And
You just
he
need
was
to know a
actually
little bit of Arabic. You have to know a little bit of Arabic. Be an intermediate in Arabic, and then you're an ex. Then you can understand, but you're just so ignorant because you don't know any Arabic. You know that? You just don't know any Arabic, and that's what makes you ignorant.
well, he knows that you find the Arabic word in Solomon 16, whatever it is.
I find it to be it's Mahmadin, Song of
But
Solomon.
yeah, so there you go. Yeah,
It
so
means
there's your Arabic right there. It's right there in the Hebrew Bible. So therefore, there's
That's-
Muhammad right there. Yeah.
And you
even
know,
though
every
there's like
time they
similar
do that,
cognates, it's not the same thing. But I thought
Of
it
course
was
it's not,
interesting.
but it's a joke, and this is the depth of his argumentation. I mean,
and
thought
every
it
time
was
they do
strange.
that, they prove that their translations are wrong. They actually disprove their books when they do that. They don't even think.
I found it to be very strange though, because I'm like, if we're going to be fair in debate, and I think we can have a nice debate here on whatever different topics of religion, but I'm like, we need to be honest and genuine. Then, if you're going to say that non-Muslims need to know Arabic, then Muslims have to know Hebrew and Greek in order to engage the Tanakh and the New Testament. If that is not the case, then it's not a just position. You can't say, oh, the only access you have to the Quran is that you know Arabic. Well, I'm like, then do these scholars know Hebrew and Greek? I don't think so. I don't think it's a fair, genuine position.
well, what they do here's what happens with this is that they take this and they put something like we found Muhammad in Solomon 16:19, whatever the verse is, where it says that he's Mahmadin, and people will believe it. I watched a YouTube video of a girl who she's a girl, she's a young woman, 25 maybe, it tops 20 to 25. Anyway, and she gets on there and she's extolling how this makes her feel. She goes, oh, they have found Muhammad in the Song of Solomon. Listen to this. And she reads it in the Hebrew, quasi Hebrew. And listen to this, Mahmadin, and pronounces it where it would be Muhammad, And that's what's terrifying to me, is how they can purposely lie to somebody like this to gen up a feeling of some type of providing a legitimacy to Muhammad. And then when you bring up the fact that it's completely not correct, it's a what they call the phonic fallacy.
Right.
Then they get all out of joint and distorted. How dare you? It's like saying, well, we know that NASA has proven that the moon was split. Well, I'm just saying. I'm just using that as it is an example, but they will use that, and then when you go in and show them that no, that's not true, then they get on you for bringing up the fact that it's not true, because it makes them feel good about their false prophet. Okay, we need to get
That
moving
is
a little
so
bit.
sad.
We got to get moving. I think we got one more to go here. And this temporary marriage thing is just disgusting, and that's why I brought up Nadir Ahmed, because I think he had to divorce his wife when she found out that he had a temporary marriage. Okay, extortion is illegal. Did you know extortion is illegal? What's extortion, by the way? Well, extortion, this is a person commits extortion if the person does any of the following with the purpose of obtaining for oneself or another thing of value, tangible or intangible, including labor or services. And you threaten to inflict physical injury on someone if they don't give you these things, or to accuse them of a public offense, like, I don't know, of saying Muhammad wasn't a prophet and he's a fake prophet or something like that, blasphemy against Muhammad. Threaten to expose and to hatred, contempt, or ridicule, Ashabibi, much people. And there's a couple other things that go along. Public officer. Okay, so how do we know that Muhammad sanctioned extortion? Well, we go to Quran 9:29. Fight those who believe not in Allah, nor in the last day, nor that old forbidden, which should have been forbidden by Allah, and his messenger. Notice how Muhammad now still
Shirk.
or now attains the same authority as his God. Yeah, this is shirk. Nor
Yep.
acknowledge the religion of truth, which is Buddhism. That's not Buddhism. It would be Islam, of course. Even if they are the people of the book, even if they're Christians or Jews, until they do what? They pay the extortion money, the jizya, and feel themselves subdued. Now, when we look at this, you have, if they refuse to accept Islam, oh, wait, that's not what I want to do. Okay, now notice where it says they feel themselves subdued. Let's see. Let me see, where they would be threatened to have their character. Where does it say? Threatened to withhold action of public officer employee to cause some. Here it is. Some public official or employee to take or withhold action, withhold testimony information. Maybe I did that wrong. But the fact is that you can humiliate them also. Then we find this in Sahih Muslim.
Yeah, it said ridicule.
Okay. And okay.
Yeah, it said ridicule, that last one. Yes, sir. Yeah, where you just read it. It's number 3. Threaten to impose any person to hatred, contempt, or ridicule.
Okay, there we go. Okay,
yeah,
so there you go.
It.
So you have to be subdued. There, I knew it was there. Thank you, Connie, for pointing that out. Yeah, so you would be subdued by being ridiculed. And we find this, of course, in the Sunnah of Muhammad in Sahih Muslim. And it says, if they refuse to accept Islam, demand the jizya, extort money from them. And if they agree to play, accept it from them and hold off your hand. So don't beat them down if they pay the extortion money. If they refuse to pay, then fight them.
Yes.
Thank you, Paul, for that input.
And it's katala.
Yeah, I was going to say that's katala.
Yeah, katala. It's fight to kill. It's fight to murder them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sahih Muslim.
Yeah, CP says that.
Commanded to fight against people so long as they do not declare that there's no God but Allah. And it was guaranteed that the protection of his property and life on my behalf, except, okay, so if you extort money from them, you can, if they pay the jizya, you don't have to fight. And let's see here, do the labor and get half of the fruit. So this is where the, what tribe was that? The Banu Qurayza, the Banu Kanuka, the Banu Nadir. Let's see. When Allah's messenger conquered Khaybar, he wanted to expel the Jews from it. His land became the property of Allah, his apostle, and the Muslims. Allah's messenger intended to expel the Jews, but they requested him to let them stay on the condition that they would do the labor and get half of the fruits. So if you do the labor, we won't fight you. You can stay on your land, but you're going to give us half.
Yeah,
half
he charged them a land tax, which is one of the other things. Jizya was one thing, but they also had to pay a land tax as well. So they got double taxation without representation, you can say.
There you go.
Right. Yeah.
One was to be allowed to live. The other one was to be allowed to live on the land.
And then Ibn Ishaq in the biography of Muhammad says, he who withholds the jizya is the enemy of Allah and his apostle. So all of these things that are sunnah in Islam can land you in a jail in Anamosa.
Gee, how many times could you get arrested here just for following the sunnah?
Yeah, I'm
yeah. Islam is out to get you.
Let's see. You could farm your. I like this. Islam RN said mafioso model. I can't agree more.
Fort Madison. There we go. I was trying to remember where the penitentiary was down. It's right on the Mississippi. It's Fort Madison. It's one of the biggest penitentiaries in the state. Anyway, all right. So there you have it, folks. There you have a detailed list of
the most perfect man on the planet.
If you are a practicing Muslim and you are seeking to follow the Sunnah, the example that Muhammad had set, I would caution you. I would severely caution you to see if it is obligatory, because if it's not obligatory to extort money or have people pay a jizya, then I would caution you against trying to collect that. Or if it's not obligatory for you to marry somebody that's 9 years old, I would say that isn't a good idea either. Or if it's not obligatory, even if you feel rebellion in your wife, I would say don't beat her. Don't hit her. Don't lay a hand on her, because if you do that, then you're going to be charged with domestic violence.
In this country, you will be charged. There's no question. You will be charged.
And this is some of these immigrants coming in from Afghanistan can't believe that they're being arrested for beating their wife. What do you mean we're beating? What, are you crazy? This is what we do. Well, if you do that here in the United States and you're convicted of domestic violence, you cannot own a firearm. You lose that. It's called the Lautenberg Amendment.
And you can't vote, right?
Gun laws. Oh no, you can still vote. Yeah.
You can still vote on that? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think there's some states that prohibit you from voting if you are a felon, if you are convicted.
Felony, yeah. Okay.
I am not 100% sure.
No, you're right. Yeah, you had to be a felon. Yes, sir. You're correct.
And beating your wife.
That should be a felon. That should be a felony.
Well,
you're endangering someone's life.
It's funny that
now
it's
mandatory that we arrest you so we can protect a domestic situation. We've had too many situations where people have killed their wives or the other way around because police decided to look the other way. I have a friend whose sister is gone for that reason.
Because for what? What would happen with that? They didn't restrain the husband?
We were in college, and we were both studying to be pastors back then, and his sister divorced a guy, and he got arrested for hurting her, and he broke out of jail and killed her.
No kidding. Well,
so he had to become dad to his nephews. So he got married that night, and took care of the kids. They're still together and celebrating.
Well, that's awesome that at least they're taking care of them children. I mean, that's okay. Also, I was going to mention, I just wrote this note here. When you talk about domestic violence being considered a felony and you are convicted of it, it's not a felony. But if you spend over a year in jail, you're a felon. That's the classic definition of what a felon is. Somebody.
Isn't there different levels of that domestic abuse? One would be a felony.
There are some. There are various levels of it, of course.
Depends on the state.
It depends on if they are sentenced to over a year in jail. Where there's a certain imam that doesn't like to be called a felon. When I call him a felon, I wasn't a felon. I spent less than a year in jail. But you've been charged with felonious crimes like making terrorist threats, so that makes you a felon. I mean, the definition here. So in calling, some people take it personally, so you have to be careful on who you call a felon and who you don't. But the fact of the matter is that a lot of these things that he did during his life, Muhammad did during his life, are felonious, are considered felony, and are just basically
he threatened
disgusting behavior.
Every empire that existed. I mean, just about every empire that was within his reach, he threatened everyone. Yeah. And then he made Allah the author of terrorism.
Yeah.
It's written in the Quran.
He attributes it because you must obey Allah
and
his messenger. Right. That's 9:21. And his messenger. Now, I don't know how people felt when he squeezed that one in there, but that's
and the Shahada is no place in the Quran or the Hadith, so it's an imagined thing. So yeah, make it a pillar. It's imagined.
Okay, that's 2 hours, folks.
Oh, Eric, I know how he squeezed it in because they had John 17:3. you, Father, are the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom you have sent.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
They had those epistles, so they just wanted to replace Jesus with Muhammad and replace our Father, our Creator, with Muhammad's sock puppet, Allah. Thank you.
Sock puppet is correct. That it could. I've actually thought about
And
doing
DL's
like a
in the
little.
house.
That DL showed up right at the end of the show. Notice
Yeah, we should do.
I just got the 60-second thing in my ear too.
We
Oh
should
no,
do a
let's
show with
keep
a
on going for a little bit with DL. I want to hear DL.
I got to run. I got my grandson
There
here
he
tonight.
is. He's unmuted.
DL.
He's unmuted.
I just wanted to say shalom and hello to everybody.
Shalom. Blessings and peace to you, my brother.
Shalom.
Oh, and
Hey,
somebody
DL.
Love you, DL.
just pat. What is this? Like, come at 7 crew? Is it? Do you guys
Wait,
conspiring
you guys
against
are
me?
still
Brad
Hey,
going?
Rad's
just-
here. Rad's
Oh,
here.
You know,
Don't go, Eric.
I lost track of time with the 4th of July, so I forgot today was Tuesday. I really did.
Wow, you guys are still going. I'm impressed, dude. I'm impressed. Sorry, I missed everything, dude. But yeah, what did I miss? Fill me in. Give me the recap.
Oh man,
Give me a
we're
bullet
so
point.
ticked off at here.
So I'm not the only one.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
no.
Jeez.
no.
I was in early, but then I got in this great discussion in another place. Wait, am I in a quiet car? Oh, shoot.
Yeah, we can hear you, Rad.
No, but I'm in a quiet. What time is it? Oh, I'm good. So I'm not in a quiet car anymore. But yeah, no, you
So-
guys are still going. That's amazing. What I missed, fill me in. Give me and
Okay.
DL the recap.
Muhammad's the pedophile. He promoted murder. He promoted rape. He promoted adultery. What else, Ed?
Prostitution.
Yeah, prostitution,
Extortion.
extortion.
Slavery.
So you're saying all it's good qualities then? What's the bad
Well,
qualities?
it's
I'm just saying.
what do they call him? The something of man. What was he?
What
gift
about
of-
Muhammad?
Yeah,
The best man on the planet, the best example?
No, they said that he was the something of the
Demon possessed.
mercy of mankind. There we go. Mercy
Oh,
of
the mercy.
Mercy?
You know, they pray that. They pray that. Oh Lord, or oh Allah, something, something. Oh yeah, make intercession for me, the prophet of mercy. And then they pray to
How
Muhammad.
do you
Oh
call
Muhammad.
a pedophile a prophet of mercy? You have to have a pretty sick mind. If you know he married a 6-year-old girl and you're praying that, something is wrong.
Yeah, you're right, and this is I've said this several times on the show. You have to have some type of
Mental
spiritual.
illness.
Well,
You got to be broken inside.
I don't. Broken is a more polite way to do mental illness. I don't know mental. I just. You
Oh
have to be
geez, I would say
there has to be some type of spiritual blindness, some type of
Corrupt
blinding.
morality, and that's it. Spiritual blindness. There's no other.
and your
there's no other-
conscience seared. And your
Yeah.
conscience seared.
Yeah.
But because if you have a conscience, you have, you're acknowledging the law of God on your heart, and you're excusing or accusing your own heart, saying that that's wrong, because you know the law of God is on your heart. But when that conscience is seared, then you don't adhere to it anymore. It's just seared.
I just can't see where they can't provide assess what this guy did clearly, and then say, well, wait a second, there's something wrong. There's something very, very wrong with this guy, and it has to be some type of spiritual blindness. It really does, because you cannot say that a guy that did all these things is some form of example to follow or pattern your life after. You just can't do it. But yet you have people who will completely ignore those things and then start pointing fingers at you. Oh, Christian, look at your book. It is a sickness. It is a mental health issue. Okay, guys, we are going to hit the road. Uh-oh.
Can I play the
But I just got here.
Oh, no.
I just got here.
Ed, go ahead.
Oh no.
All right, here we go. This is the ending jingle, guys.
You're finished. You're finished. You're finished. You're finished. Wallahi, you're finished. Wallahi, you're finished. 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 Wallahi, you're finished.
Good night, everybody.
All right. God bless you.
Yeah, we got to add that to the show. That is the first part. Hey, let's
Okay.
go, Brandon.
Red, I'm going to send you the PowerPoint.
Okay.
All right, brother. We'll see you guys later. Take care. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And we will see
Thank you, sir.
you. Oh, remember to come Sunday for Paul, and we'll be back next Tuesday at 5 p.m. God bless. Uh-oh. No. I got to end the show first. There we go. End the show. Got the wheel.